Morning folks, it's a beautiful Tuesday morning here. I hope that all's going well for you. We're 20% of the way into the working week. I hope you got a lot of stuff done yesterday and you're feeling good about getting on with it again today. So my question for you this morning is, can you afford not to delegate? And it's a fairly typical pattern when we start out, is that we're wired up to work hard. And that's an admirable quality. And I hear this stuff about work smart, not hard. And I think it's a nonsense. I think you've got to work smart and hard. I don't think there's any shortcut or way around putting in the hard graft over a prolonged period of time to really get somewhere. And that's why you deserve it when you get the rewards, right? But at the same time, it's very inefficient. And it has a ceiling on it, and it can't scale, and it's not really very good for your health in the long run either. So what is stopping you from delegating more? Now, in a lot of cases, I guess it could come down to budget. I want to delegate more, I want to bring more people in, but I don't have the budget to pay for it. Okay, so we'll deal with that consideration. And the second thing is, and this is another common one, I don't want the stress of having to deal with people and manage them and so on. So two main things at play, and maybe a number three in a lot of cases, whether people are aware of it or not. Maybe there's just a block there. Maybe there's, for whatever reason, that would be identified from a coach, but maybe you've got a high degree of control in your life, 100% perhaps if you're doing everything, and to relinquish some of that control and then need to trust in others can bring out emotional reactions in people like fear, perhaps, or insecurity, or whatever it might be. Maybe you've had a bad experience before. There's lots of reasons why we can develop blocks in certain areas, and it's kind of the job of a coach to understand those and help us to move past them. So if you're coming up against the first challenge in terms of budget, I'd ask you to consider this. I think that there's a cost to your own time, and as I've mentioned in previous videos, wealthy people spend money to save time. Poor people spend time to save money, right? So really it's your challenge as an entrepreneur to find a way of creating a budget to pay for other people to help you, because actually if you're spending your time doing things that others could be doing for less than what an hour of your time is worth, which as a property investor is very high when you consider the deals that you could be doing, you're actually costing yourself money in lost opportunities by not bringing someone in. So it's a short-term problem. You just got to bridge that gap. And actually, with access to the global labour markets nowadays through the internet, you can bring people in to help you with stuff from a very, very low cost base. So it needn't be as prohibitive as it used to be, not by a long shot. Now, I would put a sort of disclaimer against this, that if you're going to work with virtual assistants, for example, in Asia, perhaps, where the labour costs are lower, that's great. But I think, as with everything in life, you kind of get what you pay for. And my experience of working with virtual assistants, particularly in the Philippines, where I had a company for many years running an outsourcing business, we had 10 people at the height of that company, is that they're very, very good, but they require very specific instructions for the task at hand. And when curveballs arise or challenges arise, they're going to look to you for further instruction as to what to do next. So actually, although it is a means of delegation, it's what I would call very much active, because you're having to script everything out to the finest letter in order for things to happen. So it's very process oriented, and you're involved the minute something goes wrong in the system, which is fine. Whereas if you're able to bring someone in, perhaps at a premium, but who has initiative, who's a natural problem solver, who is able to immediately brainstorm a solution to a problem and act upon it, with your blessing, of course, you build up a degree of trust there. But actually problems have happened and been resolved without you ever knowing that they were there in the first place. And that is much more scalable than having a system in place that the minute something goes wrong or something unexpected happens, the whole thing breaks down and you've got to get involved again. So perhaps there's a place for both, because some things are very systemizable, very consistently the same all the time. I'm thinking about things like bookkeeping maybe, but others, like managing tenants, sourcing deals, finding projects, working with the banks, figuring out financing, these things, they do require a lot of initiative and creative thinking, and you want someone that you can really trust there, or you basically accept that you're going to keep doing it yourself. So you can start, at the appropriate place, but realistically, in the long run, I think that you want the very, very best people on your team that you can bring in, right? And I think that when people think about using freelancers, they tend to associate it with websites like Fiverr or Elance, or these various websites where you can find people to do a set project for a set hourly rate over a set number of hours, so as to control your budget. But actually, in the UK right now, and across lots of economies in Europe and the US and beyond, we're entering a massive recession with a huge spike in unemployment rates. The latest predictions from the Bank of England is that we'd hit 8% unemployment and lose 750,000 jobs as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. So if you translate that back, that's 750,000 potentially very well educated, very competent people who have previously held highly responsible jobs that now find themselves out of work and with bills to pay and in desperate need of finding alternative employment. So there's an opportunity there for you to tap in to a labour market closer to home, perhaps with a higher calibre of candidate, that you can utilise because they're on the bench at the moment. And if you're thinking, well, yeah, that's all well and good, but I can't afford £3,000 a month to bring someone in full time, put them on a PAYE scheme, again, I would say, why can the freelancer model not work closer to home? Because if someone is working from home anyway and they're doing a bit of this and that, and it would actually suit them to do, let's say, 10 hours a month on things, or 20 or 30 or whatever you want to scale that up to, if you were to agree an hourly rate or a day rate, and bring people in and it suits their lifestyle and it works around what they're doing, then of course that makes nothing but sense. And over time, as your business grows and you get busier, you can put more work their way, and perhaps eventually it does evolve into something more like a 50% part-time or a full-time role. But you needn't start there, so don't let the costs put you off. So that's that argument. And then secondly, when it comes to having to manage people then and deal with a team beyond just yourself, it's a choice, right? You could just have a lifestyle business, which basically means you're self-employed, and never scale to a point where you would need a team. And maybe that's your ambition. Maybe you don't want, to have something that you can't just administer on your own. But don't do it on the basis of how stressful it's going to be to manage people, because if you set things up in the right way, you create an atmosphere of transparency and trust, clear communication, you incentivize people, you make them feel safe in their environment, then you're going to have a great working relationship with people, and it'll take everything to a whole new level. Don't think about it of, I'm going to constantly be having to tell people what to do and deal with problems as they arise. If you get the right person involved, you look after them and you make them feel safe, they're going to be telling you what to do in the way of bringing you ideas that you'd never even thought about and suggesting things with energy that you lack, and everything will just compound in this wonderful way if you get the right dynamic going. So far from being stressful, if you do it right, it's the exact reverse. It takes pressure off of you so that you can focus on other things, whether that be driving the business forward and focusing on high value stuff, or spending more time with yourself and your family and your kids and your dogs, or whatever it is that you want to be doing, which actually will recharge you and make you more productive in the long run anyway, because you're relaxed and you're feeling good. So, and the final point about any block you might have, just work with a coach and figure that out, because whatever's blocking you from delegating and relinquishing control, that's blocking your growth in a huge fundamental way that you really want to be sensitive to and not let define the next 6, 12, 18 months and beyond of your personal and business growth, because it will be severely limited if you're not willing to open your heart and your mind up to other people, cede control out, and welcome ideas from people as to how you can move it all forward rather than doing it all yourself. You'll burn out, you'll be tired, you'll be miserable. It'll probably come out in the way that you act at home around your partner. He or she might call you up on that. So, you know, there's so many benefits from working with other people and delegating things out that you really should embrace it from the earliest point possible, not put off by the budget, not put off by the ceding of control, not being put off by the fact that it's going to be high stress in management, because if you're doing everything yourself, you're super stressed anyway, and you can't afford not to do it because of the opportunities that you're missing out on. So it just makes sense from every angle as long as you get it right. They're my thoughts. I wonder what you guys think. As always, let me know. What's your experience with building a team? When did you start? How did it scale up? Did you find people at home or overseas expensive or inexpensive? What worked, what didn't? We'd love to hear everything, so please comment below, start the conversation, and everyone can benefit from it. Have a lovely day. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.